My girlfriend said, "If you don't move in by Christmas, we're done." My friends were right. I signed a lease alone instead, and let her friends be right without me. We'd been dating almost 2 years. I'm Matt, 31. She's Kelly, 27. On paper, we looked stable: weekend trips, movie nights, half-serious talks about someday. The kind of relationship that photographs well. Smiling selfies, wine glasses, matching scarves. Then came December, the kind that bites through your jacket. We were sitting in our usual cafe, the kind that plays slow jazz and smells like cinnamon. She stirred her latte, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "If you don't move in by Christmas, we're done." All my friends already live with their boyfriends. No tremor in her voice. No warmth either. I laughed, small, nervous. Is this a competition? She didn't blink. It's reality. And just like that, our future became an ultimatum. Not a conversation, not a plan, a deadline. 2 nights later, at a bar with friends, she announced, loud enough to turn heads, "Matt just can't handle real commitment." They cheered her on like she'd just delivered a TED Talk on self-respect. I sat there, drink in hand, realizing I was no longer a partner, just an accessory in her performance for the crowd. The weeks that followed felt like a slow-motion squeeze. Every text, every conversation, every breath was a reminder that I was on the clock. Kelly turned "move in by Christmas" into a daily mantra, disguised as casual suggestions. It started with Zillow links. Imagine waking up together here, smiling face with hard eyes, then a cascade of TikToks. Couples decorating apartments, couples grocery shopping, couples laughing over burnt pancakes. Each caption with something like, "Real men make moves, not excuses." Everyone felt like a dart, thrown just soft enough to deny malice. Her friends became her chorus. At dinners, brunches, birthdays, they'd nudge me, smirk, and ask, "So, when's the big move in, Matt?" I'd smile politely while Kelly watched my face for the right answer. I tried logic. I want to, just not under a deadline. It should happen naturally. She tilted her head, eyes cold. "You just don't see a future with me. That's what this is." I wanted to tell her that my hesitation wasn't about her. It was about the way she'd turned intimacy into a scoreboard. But reasoning with Kelly was like negotiating with a storm. You can't win, only wait it out. Then came the suitcase. One Friday evening, she arrived at my apartment dragging it behind her like a verdict. "I'll just leave a few things here to help you adjust." By the end of the night, a few things had multiplied. Her makeup spread across my bathroom counter. Her shoes occupied the front hall. My closet, once organized, now looked like a boutique sale in progress. Half of my space vanished overnight. I told myself it was temporary. But deep down, I knew this was how control works, not with force but with incremental invasions. At my family's Thanksgiving dinner, she made her boldest move yet. Between spoonfuls of mashed potatoes and polite small talk, she smiled sweetly and said, "If Matt doesn't move in by Christmas, I might need to find someone who isn't afraid of love." The clink of silverware stopped. My mom looked down. My dad cleared his throat. Kelly took another sip of wine, basking in the silence she'd created. That's when it hit me. This wasn't desperation. It was strategy. She wasn't warning me. She was auditioning for sympathy, making sure the world saw her as the patient, loving girlfriend stuck with a man too cautious to commit. After dinner, she pulled me aside on the porch, breath visible in the cold air. "Did you see how your mom looked at me? She gets it. She wants you to be happy." "Kelly," I said quietly, "what you want isn't happiness. It's validation." Her expression flickered. For just a second, I saw something real. Fear, maybe. Then the mask returned. "You'll thank me when you finally grow up." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her perfume thick in the air from the clothes she'd unpacked in my closet. I could feel my own home shrinking around me, like the walls were quietly choosing sides. It wasn't the moving in that scared me. It was realizing how much of myself I'd already moved out to make space for her performance. A week later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I chose peace over performance. I signed a lease for a one-bedroom apartment across town. $1,200 a month, freshly painted walls, the faint smell of pine cleaner. No one's things but mine. The landlord asked if I wanted to move in immediately. Yes, I said. Tonight. There was a strange calm in driving my old car through quiet streets. The back seat filled with boxes labeled freedom, sanity, new start. I didn't tell Kelly. Not yet. I wanted one last look at who we'd become before I walked away completely. That Friday, she invited me to dinner. Her tone was sugar-sweet, that fake softness that always came before a trap. Just us, she said. I made something special. Her apartment glowed like a magazine cover. Candles, red wine, music low and deliberate. She was in a black dress that I used to love. For a moment, it almost felt like the beginning again. Then she smiled that practiced smile. I have a surprise, she said. I found a realtor who can help us sell your place and get a joint mortgage. Isn't that exciting? I set down my glass carefully. The stem felt fragile between my fingers. Kelly, I said slowly. I already moved out. I got my own place. She blinked, the words hitting her like a cold slap. What? I'm not moving in with you. For a second, everything in the room stilled, the music, the candles, even the air. Then came the explosion. You're what? After everything I've done for you. Her voice cracked into a yell. You're pathetic. My friends were right, you'll never grow up. You want to be alone forever? Fine. Enjoy your little sad bachelor life. Her hand flew before I could react. A glass shattered against the wall behind me. Red wine dripping down like blood in candlelight. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard it rattled the picture frames. I stood there in the quiet aftermath, the smell of wine and wax filling the air, thinking how this was the most honest she'd been in months. By midnight, she'd turned the breakup into content. On Instagram, a photo of a half-empty wine glass, captioned, "Some men just aren't built for adulthood. Sad." Within minutes, the comments poured in. You deserve better, Queen Nail Polish. He lost a real one. His loss, your glow-up. The irony stung, not because they believed her, but because she needed them to. By morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. Friends sent screenshots. Bro, she's subtweeting you on Facebook too. Dude, what happened? What happened was simple. I stopped playing my part. I didn't respond, didn't post, didn't defend myself. Silence was my weapon. It drove her mad. By noon, she was texting. So that's it? You just walk away? After everything? Then, at least now I know who you really are. I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the keyboard, then put the phone down. For the first time in months, maybe years, I didn't feel guilty. Just free. That night in my new apartment, I sat on the floor among unopened boxes, eating takeout straight from the carton. Outside, snow drifted past the window, soft and silent. No performance. No audience. Just me. The dinner meltdown didn't stay private for long. I should have known it wouldn't. Kelly's life was one continuous broadcast. Privacy to her wasn't intimacy. It was wasted content. 3 days later, my phone started vibrating nonstop. Texts, tags, DMs. I opened one link from a coworker. A TikTok with over 600,000 views. The caption read, "When a man's scared of commitment, nail polish." The video? Someone had recorded our argument through the half-open kitchen door. Me sitting still, voice calm but firm, and Kelly shouting, "You'll never grow up!" Right before the wine glass shattered against the wall. The sound of breaking glass synced perfectly with a trending audio clip. And that's on Knowing Your Worth. The comments were brutal. He's giving emotionally unavailable. Classic man-child energy. Girl, you dodged a bullet. It hit 1 million views in 2 days. By the time I walked into work Monday morning, people were already whispering. One guy from IT smirked, "Hey, you're that breakup guy." Another offered, "Man, rough week, huh?" I wanted to crawl into the drywall. By noon, HR called me in. The office smelled like burnt coffee and corporate anxiety. "Matt," the HR manager began, hands folded, tone syrupy, We just want to make sure this situation won't affect the company's image. The situation? I asked. The video, she said carefully. We know it's personal, but since your face is visible and our company name is in your LinkedIn bio, we'd appreciate if you managed your digital footprint. Managed, as if I'd filmed it myself. I didn't post it, I said. I didn't even know it existed. Understood, she replied, already half-typing something into her notes. But perception matters. Perception. That word that had haunted me since the start. Kelly's favorite word. Her reason for every forced photo. Every staged affection. Now it had followed me here into fluorescent lighting and HR memos. That night, I scrolled through the comments section until the screen blurred. Then came the DMs, hundreds of them. Some from strangers offering sympathy, others from self-proclaimed therapists diagnosing me. And then there were the messages from her circle, her friends, her mom, even her aunt, apparently. You humiliated her publicly. She gave you everything and you made her look crazy. You're a coward for recording that. Except I hadn't recorded it. One of her friends had. But the truth didn't matter, only the narrative did. Kelly herself posted a follow-up video. Just her. Teary-eyed, soft piano music in the background. When you give your all and someone just walks away, the comments turned into a pity parade. People stitched the clip, made duets, analyzed my supposed emotional unavailability like it was a sociology project. Meanwhile, I was just trying to live my life quietly. I didn't respond publicly. Didn't post rebuttals or share screenshots. That's what she wanted. Another act, another round of applause. Instead, I went silent, deleted Instagram, set everything to private, stopped feeding the machine. Funny thing about silence, it scares people who thrive on attention. Within a week, her narrative started to crack. The friend who'd filmed the video bragged in a comment thread about how Kelly told us to record just in case he flipped. That one sentence shifted everything. Suddenly, people weren't so sure. The tone of the comments changed. Wait, why were they filming? Feels staged. This looks like emotional manipulation. The clip started getting stitched again. But this time, by people calling it toxic behavior caught on camera. Kelly deleted her TikTok a day later. Then her Instagram. Then her Twitter. But it was too late. Once you turn your life into a performance, you can't choose when the curtain closes. I didn't humiliate her publicly. I just stopped letting someone use my life as a stage. A week after the viral storm started to die down, she appeared at my doorstep like a ghost from a bad dream. It was just after midnight. I'd been half asleep, Netflix humming quietly in the background, when I heard the knock. Slow, deliberate. I opened the door and there she was. Kelly. Mascara streaked, eyes swollen, hair damp from the cold rain. She looked nothing like the confident woman who'd once weaponized every camera she could find. Please, she said, voice trembling. Give me another chance. Panicked. I just didn't want to lose you. I stood there, hands still on the doorframe. I could smell her perfume, the same one that had lingered in my old apartment for weeks after she left. There was a time that scent made me think of warmth. Now it just reminded me of chaos. Kelly, I said quietly, you didn't lose me because of fear. You lost me because of control. She stared at me like she didn't understand the words, then whispered, so that's it. That's it. For a moment, I thought she might lunge forward, try to hug me, cry harder. But instead, she turned and walked down the hall, heels echoing on the concrete. I shut the door and locked it twice. The next morning, I walked out to my car and froze. Deep, jagged lines ran from the headlights to the tailpipe. Someone had keyed it top to bottom. Not random scribbles, deliberate, angry slashes. The parking lot camera caught everything. A woman in a hoodie, hood up, sunglasses on. But the posture, the gait, unmistakably hers. Even her shoes matched the pair she wore that night on my doorstep. Damage estimate, $2,800. I filed a police report, handed over the footage, and told them exactly who it was. The officer nodded, already familiar with the story. She's the one from that TikTok, right? He said quietly. I didn't answer. That evening, she went back online. Of course she did. A new video, shot in soft lighting, the now familiar teary confession setup, this time titled, "He emotionally destroyed me, manipulated me for 2 years." The performance was polished. The trembling voice, the deep sighs, the pauses for effect. She said I'd gaslit her, isolated her, made her feel small. She said she was the real victim. But the internet wasn't buying it anymore. Not this time. The comment section turned fast. "Girl, you threatened him, humiliated him, and now you're crying? Wasn't she the one who threw a glass at him?" This is what happens when your lies go viral. People dug deeper. Screenshots, timelines, contradictions. Within hours, her name was trending again, but now as a cautionary tale. Then came the real hit, her employer. Kelly worked for a mid-sized marketing agency that prided itself on female empowerment branding, the kind that hosted panels on authenticity and emotional intelligence. 2 days after her video dropped, they posted an official statement on LinkedIn. "We are aware of recent social media content involving one of our employees. After reviewing the situation, we have chosen to part ways. Our company does not condone behavior inconsistent with our brand values." Clean, corporate, brutal. By the next morning, her accounts were gone. Deactivated, deleted, erased like a glitch in the system. Friends told me she'd moved out of her apartment, disappeared from the local scene. I should have felt vindicated. Justice served, in a way. But standing in the silence of my apartment, it didn't feel like a victory. Just the end of noise. I kept thinking back to that first coffee shop conversation. The ultimatum, the steady erosion of kindness. The way her eyes had hardened whenever she talked about what people think. Somewhere in all of that, she'd built a world out of image and pressure. And when it collapsed, there was nothing left to hold her. And me? I was just the collateral damage that survived. A month later, the world quieted down enough for the legal echo of Kelly's antics to surface. She attempted to file a lawsuit for emotional distress, claiming my refusal to move in and my calm handling of the viral fallout had traumatized her. Her lawyer, though, quickly realized the foundation was paper thin. The evidence, police reports, video timestamps, witness statements, screenshots, all painted a very different story. The lawsuit went nowhere, dismissed quietly without fanfare. Then came the settlement offer. She would pay for the car damages, I'd drop the charges, and we'd both sign NDAs. I agreed immediately, not out of fear, not out of spite, but because I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. Kelly moved back to Wisconsin, back in with her mom, and the social media blackout was complete. Reports trickled in. She had started therapy, was attempting to rebuild herself, whatever that meant. Me? I kept my apartment, finally my own space. I finally unpacked all the boxes I'd left half-stacked when she first moved in. Clothes, books, furniture, small pieces of freedom I hadn't realized were mine to reclaim. I got a promotion at work, the kind that had seemed impossible amid the chaos. I started going to the gym again, not to impress anyone, just to feel my own body, my own strength. Occasionally, I dated. Not seriously, not under pressure. No ticking clocks. No ultimatums whispered across coffee tables or shouted in bars. Just people, moments, and quiet laughter. Sometimes, late at night, I think back to that December. To the ultimatum, to the Instagram posts, to the shattered glass in her apartment. That single moment. Move in by Christmas, or we're done, revealed everything. The truth wasn't in her threats or her tears. It was in the absence behind her words. And what I learned, painfully but clearly, was this. When someone says, "Do this or I'll leave," they've already left, in spirit, in empathy, in respect. The ultimatum is never about choice. It's about control. That Christmas, I didn't choose loneliness. I didn't bend. I didn't perform for anyone's approval. I chose freedom, and it has been the best gift I've ever given myself. The apartment smells of fresh paint and pine cleaner. My clothes fit right again. The walls are mine. The quiet is mine. And the peace, that's mine too. Sometimes, in the soft hum of the city outside my window, I smile quietly to myself, thinking, I survived the storm and came out whole, stronger, calmer, and finally, entirely untethered. It was a Christmas I'll never forget. Not because of love, not because of gifts, but because I learned how to keep myself. The show ended, the curtain fell, and I walked off the stage with my dignity intact.